pronouns. Joined with Jackie Burns, who also uses she, her pronouns. She's the worship associate today. Shout out to piano player Megan Smith, Karen Baggett, song leader, Barb Thomas and Martha Kenworthy are making all the technical stuff happen. And just for a little funny story, I usually try to say our accompanist today, our accompanist. I said, how do you say that word? And she says, piano player. That's why that has changed. If you are visiting us for the first or second time today, would you raise your hands that we may welcome you? All right, yay. And
I'm back after 4 years. Hold on.
Hang on. We'd love for everybody to be able to hear.
This enables the folks on Zoom to
I
hear you.
know, I remember. Hello, Zoom, and hello, everybody. I have missed you so much, and I am back in town, and I'm never going back this time. Raleigh is it's the next LA, and I kid you not about that. Anybody got a home for rent, let me know.
Welcome back.
All right, anyone else?
Anybody else? First time?
Sorry. It's all right. I'm Rhonda Prince. I've lived in Moorhead for just over 2 years, and I've already met some fellow educators, so.
Welcome, Rhonda.
Welcome.
All right, everybody.
Oh, no, I've been here. You haven't been here.
Okay.
For those of you on Zoom, what just happened there was Ron said, no, you need to introduce yourself. And he's like, I've been here, you haven't been here. Because Ron has been traveling. Welcome back. Let's hear who's joining us on Zoom.
Today we have Kay and Daryl Lynch, Gary, Tawana Collins, Sarah Sutherland, and Neurozad.
Okay, I know who that is. That's Jason. All right, let's wave to everybody on Zoom. We're so glad you're joining us. Wish you could be here, but glad you're there. And we have a few announcements today. So Friends Feeding Friends is next week. And we ask you to bring your offerings of shelf-stable Lunchables, if they have those. One serving fruit cups, pudding cups, granola bars, and then also boxes of cereal and shelf-stable milk, like almond milk is shelf-stable, so you can find some of that. The young people will come through the sanctuary next week and collect the offering, and then it will be fed to the pantry, which is a free pantry that is outside of our building that our neighbors know about, that they can come anytime they want to get the food that they need. Also next week, we will have our backpack blessing. So all ages are welcome to join. Bring your backpacks, your laptops. If your phone is how you do your business, whatever it is you need to be productive in the coming year, bring it and we will bless it. And the last reminder is Thoughtful Gatherings is starting up, and this is the last week to sign up. There's a sign-up bulletin board by the coffee window, and you can sign up for Thoughtful Gatherings, and then you'll get all the information about when and where you need to be. The 3 topics, they'll meet 3 times. The first topic is building belonging. The second topic is cultivating compassion. And the third one is nurturing gratitude. So those are all, we're going to be addressing those in each worship service too, but this gives you a chance to talk about these things with each other, not just me talking to you and with you occasionally. All right, and now Megan is going to play our centering music. She's going to be playing hymn number 1014, which is Standing on the Side of Love. This is our centering music, so we don't usually sing along, but if you want to look at the words or look at the music, she just wanted you to know that that's the song we're listening to.
You are beloved, and you are welcome here.
Whether tears have fallen from your eyes this past week or gleeful laughter has spilled out of your smiling mouth.
You are beloved, and you are welcome here.
Whether you are feeling brave or brokenhearted, defiant or defeated, fearsome or fearful.
You are beloved, and you are welcome here.
Whether you have untold stories buried deep inside or stories that have been forced beyond the edges of comfort.
You are beloved, and you are welcome here.
Whether you have made promises, broken promises, or are renewing your promises.
You are beloved, and you are welcome here.
Whatever is on your heart, however it is with your soul in this moment,
You are beloved, and you are welcome here.
in this space of welcome and acceptance, commitment and recommitment, of covenant and connection, let us worship together.
And now let us speak these words as one.
Come, let us worship together.
George? In a world that feeds on moral outrage, we are here to cultivate moral courage. In a time that prizes picking sides, we gather to draw a wider circle. And in a culture that teaches us to get for what we give and to ask what's in it for me, we come to practice generosity and to remember we're all in this together. In the midst of life's bitterness, we choose to sing, to give thanks, to laugh together, and to be keepers of beauty, to offer a place of belonging for all who come, in gladness and in pain, to resist the push to the next moment and the next, to slow down, to breathe more deeply, to feel a part of something greater for this hour and in this space. Let us be the change we wish to see. Come, let us worship together. We also light our peace candle to remind ourselves that peace is a process that requires work, that peace is not merely an absence of conflict, but the presence of justice. And now, please rise in body or spirit for hymn 347, Gather the Spirit. Gather the Spirit.
Each week, this community makes space and time to be human and celebrate our joys and grieve our sorrows together. Should you wish to share a personal joy or sorrow about a person or persons in your life, there's a paper to fill out over there and place it in the basket on your way to the chalice. As part of the ritual, I will read those messages aloud. And the way it works is we're going to line up down this aisle and around this edge here. You come to the center and select a shell or a crystal, a rock, a bell, and place it in the water. There's no water. Would you mind getting some water for us? That would be a different ritual. Isn't it the air and water ritual? The air and water ritual. Would you mind playing Standing on the Side of Love again? And grab 1014 in your hymnal and let's sing along this time. I don't have the words up there, so you're going to have to find them in here. 1014. That was meant to happen. Yeah, you have to. Thank you, Adam. So the ritual is to come and collect a stone and place it in this chalice bowl of water that symbolizes our connection to each other, that we are not alone, we are held in community, our joys and sorrows abide together. So please join in the ritual, if you choose to. here are the joys and concerns you wish to share with this community centered in love. Sujata says that her cousin-in-law passed last week. His light shined very bright, so may it shine on wherever he is now. Extra hugs for my husband, Jay, please. And Laura says, I'm so grateful to be back with sand people. Or maybe is that sane? This, there is a possibility that sand does lead to some sanity. By the light of this chalice, let us hold together all that is in our hearts, known to us and unknown, those who are struggling. For the sorrows and concerns shared here, may you feel our sympathy and compassion. And let us take a moment to open our hearts to joy, ours and that of others, known or unknown. We join you in celebration. For all that remains unspoken, both joy and sorrow, may the caring of our community offer you both kindness and hope. And now we have a video for the young ones. If you'd like to come up front to watch it, you can, or you can stay where you are. And I want to know, do y'all know this guy on the screen? My young people, do you recognize him? Know who that is? Does anybody know him? Nobody knows him. I found him during the pandemic. Oh, who is he? Kid President. Right. So he puts out these videos all the time, and he's a president. And so we're talking about leadership today, and I thought it'd be nice to know what Kid President has to say.
We're on a mission to make the world more awesome for kids. We wanted to talk to kids and see how they want to make the world more awesome. So we went to the California Association of Student I can't even say it. Okay, I'm going to say it solo. The California Association of Student Leaders. Yeah, it's as awesome as it sounds. We talked to really smart kids and teens. Here's what they said.
I feel like kids have a lot to bring to the table when it comes to change.
We're really more awesome if people try to understand each person's point of view.
If kids and adults could work together.
If there was less judgment and prejudice in this world, and that everyone accepted each other for who they really are and not for who they view them to be.
If I was elected president, I think I would try to just stop the negativity in the world.
If I was president, I would fix immigration because here in the U.S. we stand for freedom and liberty, so why not welcome everyone from around the world with open arms?
I would find a way to make people more accepting towards one another.
I would give kids more of a voice. I feel like kids need to be more empowered. They need to know that the world is going to be in their hands someday, and they definitely need to be taking an initiative.
I would fix the wage gap between men and women. If I could give the world one message, it would just be, do you. You are perfectly fine however you are.
You should always be yourself because there's too many of everybody else.
Treat people nicely because you don't know what people are going through, you don't know what their story is, and everybody has different opinions, and if you just respect that person, then they'll respect you.
To be a leader, it means to make a difference in the lives of others and really empower them to see the best that they can be.
Someone who takes others' opinions and doesn't just go my way or the highway. They're open-minded and they're passionate about what they do. A good leader is responsible, they're honest, they have a good attitude.
The main thing is just be positive to everyone, don't ever bring anyone down.
You have to also be the one to listen.
To be open-minded and to be arms wide open for everyone.
I believe that everyone has the potential to be amazing, and I really want to maximize that and try to make everyone as great as they can be.
I don't think much.
I don't even know what to do, okay, let's get this one.
You guys are the best. What do you think will make the world more awesome for kids? Come on, it's time. I believe in you people. Let's do this. KP out.
was pretty good, right? So before we send y'all off to classes, we don't have too many young people with us, but if you were president, what would you want to be? What would you want to change in the world? What is it, Parker? I couldn't hear it. What?
He said it should be a holiday every week on Tuesday.
I'm telling you. So those on Zoom, Parker said every Tuesday should be a holiday. I love that idea. That would make Monday so much better. See, this is why we need kid presidents. Parker. How about y'all? Anything you want to add, George? School should be way less long. They keep shortening the school breaks. Yeah. That's terrible. That our breaks are too short. I bet the teachers would agree too. If kids could be president and teachers had more time off, like maybe we need to elect some kids. How about you, Hope? Anything you'd want to add? Like if you were president, how would you make the world better? She would try to get people to be less hateful. I know. All right. Yeah, let's hear it for President Hope. May that be the day, because we need that in this world. All right, thank you all. Y'all can go off to your classes now. We're going to sing you out with the blessing song. Jackie, would you mind singing out?
It's a blessing I was born, and it matters what I do. What I know about God is a piece of the truth. Let the beauty I love be what I do, and you don't have to do it alone. It's a blessing we were born, and it matters what we do. What we know about God is a piece of the truth. Let the beauty love be what we do, and we don't have to do it alone. Cha-cha-cha.
In a free religious community like this one, to serve is the highest expression of our commitment and love. To be asked to lead is the highest honor. The relationship between a congregation and board is one of deep respect and mutual regard. I invite to the chancel Mark Hooper, Susan Roberts, Joellen Essex. I don't think Joellen's here today. Dave Hughes, Laura Donahue, Barb Thomas, and Gary Willis is joining us on Zoom, and Amy Jones is also, I think, traveling right now, so those are the people that are missing. But standing before you are the members of Unitarian Coastal Fellowship that have been invited to represent this congregation, and they have said yes to that invitation. That is their first step. The first decision they make on behalf of this congregation is whether or not they will serve. We're grateful that they said yes. You have asked them to take on the holy work of discernment and guidance. They need you to support them in the work, to share your ideas and concerns in love, and to offer them trust as they fulfill their office faithfully. The work of the church is the work of the people. It is the work of building the world that we dream of. It may require time spent poring over boring budget sheets. Hours spent in meetings where small details are hashed out. It may manifest in shared laughter over shared meals or outright frustration from time to time. But it is always sacred, for it is in the pursuit of beloved community. Service is an act of faith. Service done faithfully in love is the work of justice and community building. This is what you have asked of these people before you this morning, that they serve you faithfully and well. To do this, they need your trust and your support. I ask you now, the members of Unitarian Coastal Fellowship, will you offer love? Oh, that's y'all. Sorry. I ask you now, the members of Unitarian Coastal Fellowship, will you offer love and trust to the board, responding when they seek your input, showing up when they tell you that work needs to be shared, and listening carefully when they speak of the life of the church? If so, please respond, we will. We will. To the members of the board, will you be diligent and faithful in your work, bringing your best selves and practicing self-care and open-heartedness, tending with love the details of this work, and always keeping the goal of beloved community in front of you as you serve? If so, please respond, we will. We will. To this board of trustees, thank you for saying yes to the invitation to serve, and I offer this prayer to you. May the spirit of the children remind you of the importance of this invitation. May the spirit of love guide you in the coming year. May the spirit of joy infuse the work you engage. May the spirit of justice be revealed as you work and play together. And may your service bless the world. Amen. With a round of applause from deep gratitude, you can return to your seats. It is joyful work, and I'm grateful to be working with such a wonderful team. All right, we're going to enter into silence for a little bit of meditation and prayer from your own hearts. Let us deepen into the silence. We will begin with 3 deep breaths. We'll enter into silence for a few moments, and then music will bring us out of the meditation. Begin with 3 deep breaths. Just sigh it out. One of my favorite liberationists is Adrienne Maree Brown. She's a Black woman who uses they, them pronouns, and she wrote the book Emergent Strategies, Shaping Change and Shaping Worlds. She then created a week-long workshop called Emergent Strategies Immersion, and she brought it to large cities that have a lot of anti-racist organizing. So when she brought it to New Orleans, I signed up. And of course, it was beautiful. There were multiple facilitators working with multiple groups, diverse beings in all the diverse presentations. Abundant love was flowing. There was dancing and singing and chanting and crying and listening and emerging. And then on day 2, there was drama. Somehow, a white woman created conflict in her group, and the harm continued and compounded. So that group wasn't able to move forward with the program because they were stuck trying to undo harm, trying to find love and liberation again, but struggling to get there. And soon enough, the other groups heard about the drama, and things got even more messy. Things sometimes need to get messy because that's what needs to happen. My kitchen gets messy when I'm making a big old production of food. That mess is a sign of something cooking, something brewing, something that's going to feed me and mine. But there we were in this mess, and there were white people, white allies, white co-liberationists, who were feeling a little collective shame and trying to figure out what to do. Should we counsel the white woman who was causing harm? Should we move to the people of color to ally with them and distance ourselves from her? Turns out, while all that was trying to be figured out, she left. And she left mad. And I'm sure she left feeling unseen and misunderstood. Because she was there as a co-liberator, as a collaborator. She wasn't new to the work, but she left. And there was a collective breath in the group that she had left, and now we could move on. But the people of color in her group and the white people in her group were still feeling kind of funky, and so were the rest of us. And we were sorry that we couldn't have figured out how to make peace with the woman who left, that someone was leaving this gathering that they came to. And Adrienne called us all together in our twittering and nervous energy, and she said, "Sometimes the role a person plays in organizing is to leave. And in that leaving, they take the collective energy that is stuck and they take it away with them. This is a gift of that role, that we can be free of that energy, that we can move forward. So we thank her for the role she has played in freeing up this space. And now we continue with our work and play together." What a beautiful and compassionate reframing of a white woman leaving in a huff. Adrienne has remarkable skill in finding patterns in the universe and relating them to human being and anti-racist organizing. I always think about that reframing when I look back on when I was the leaver. You remember that song we sang? Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. I was one of those lovers of leaving. I left organizing events or groups in my huff. I used to look back on those times in shame and cringe with embarrassment. And now I can look back a little more compassionately and hope, maybe even believe, that my leaving took the energy that needed to leave out of the space so that those who wanted to continue could continue. That has shaped how I am as a leader in anti-racist organizing, in being a minister, in being your minister, in my family and in my community, and in how I see other organizers and leaders, because we all fumble and stumble. Adrienne writes, "If love were the central practice of a new generation of organizers and spiritual leaders, it would have a massive impact on what was considered organizing. If the goal was to increase the love rather than winning or dominating a constant opponent, I think we could actually imagine liberation from constant oppression. We would suddenly be seeing everything we do, everyone we meet, not through the tactical eyes of war and winning, but through eyes of love. We would see there's no such thing as a blank canvas, an empty land, or even a new idea, but that everywhere there is complex, ancient, fertile ground full of potential. She continues, we would organize with the perspective that there is wisdom and experience and amazing story in the communities we love. And instead of starting up new ideas and new organizations all the time, we would want to listen, support, collaborate, merge, and grow through fusion, not through competition. So grow through that fusion, not by competing. Do you know how people get onto our board? Do you think there's a bunch of people all waving their hands saying, pick me, pick me, pick me? No, it's not like that at all. Because the work of running this church is a big task. It takes a lot of time and a lot of energy, and thankfully it takes a lot of love. Sometimes we have plenty of love, but not enough time to say yes to this role. And it can be hard to find people to say yes. So how we do it at this church, we have a nominating committee of 3 people. Right now we have Wendy Pesch, who I believe is at home today, Susan Fetzer, and one more person. Did we get a third yet? No, we're still working on a third person to fill out that nominating team. And their role is to look for the next leaders to put on the board and to kind of be thinking about it ahead of time before board members roll off, and they kind of roll off in staggered terms so that there's not like complete turnover. And then those nominating teams will walk and talk with people to see if they might be ready to take on the role of Board of Trustees. And I heard a funny little story from Gary Willis, who's joining us online, that Joelle in Essex, who's also on the board, must have been on the nominating team because she took 6 hours with Gary and 3 trips or something to finally get Gary to say yes to this board. So just know that those leaders who are looking for leaders take it seriously, and they're going to spend the time to make sure you're going to say yes or you're going to have a holy no, right? And leadership is always in development. If you've been on this board or on the leadership council, or if you've been on other boards, even if you've been on leadership 20 times, you are still in leadership development because we are never done. We have great models for leadership here in this church, in the wider community, across the country, and the world, and in our history. And even if we think about in our future from those kids who are the leaders who told us what they want. Tuesday's off, y'all. Tuesday's off. Adrienne Marie Brown is just one of the people that I lift up as a leader. Her books become sacred text for me. Being a leader in this faith is different from other churches, denominations, mosques, and temples because we are this peculiar breed of non-compliance with the doctrine of Christianity, or even with atheism. We crave that pluralism of having different ideas of what is sacred, or if there even is something sacred, and being in community with people who may not think alike, but who love alike. James Luther Adams was a Unitarian parish minister, social activist, journal editor, an author, and a divinity school professor for 40 years. He's a distinguished scholar, and he loved the major German theologians, and he himself was a Christian theologian. And a lot of our Unitarian history comes from the German tradition. He wrote a sermon titled, "I Call That Church Free," and I'm going to share a portion of that sermon. I call that church free, which enters into covenant with the ground of freedom, that sustaining, transforming power not made with hands. It protests against the idolatry of any human claim to absolute truth or authority. Enters into covenant with the grounding of freedom. That is a grounding belief that all beings deserve freedom, not just the people on the planet, but all beings. He further backs that up and clearly states that freedom is not man-made. We can't and don't control it, though we act like we do. And we humans don't have absolute truth or authority over any damn thing. But my goodness, we sure think we do. How different for a church to have this statement as a piece of the truth that we sing in that song, right? How different leadership looks when this is the grounding of a free church. He continues, I call that church free, which liberates from bondage to the principalities and powers of the world, whether churchly or secular, and which promotes the continuing reformation of its own and other institutions. It protests against routine conformity or thoughtless nonconformity that leads to deformity of mind and heart and community. So as leaders of this free church, we attend to our governance not by doing what we have always done, but instead continuing to reform ourselves and our institutions, always trying to move us closer and closer to that world we dream of, that world that we can sense and smell and feel. I love how he offers that we protest against routine conformity or thoughtless non-conformity. So we do it that way because we've always done it that way, is that kind of routine conformity. Or even if the law, we're going to do it that way because it's the law. Even if the law is wrong, we will conform because we have a routine conformity. But doing this leads to deformity of mind, he says, of heart and community. And we indeed are living in a deformed world, and it is our role as leaders to reform us. Reverend Denise Graves from New Orleans says, we conform because we became really tired, and before we know it, we've become complicit. I've conformed. I am tired, and I'm complicit. But I want a new story. I resist. I find energy in calling freedom, and I'm not complicit with deformed ways and laws. I don't want to be complicit with old, outdated laws. James Luther Adams continues his sermon. I call that church free, which in charity promotes freedom in fellowship, seeking unity in diversity. I call that church free, which responds in responsibility to the Spirit that bloweth where it listeth. The tide of the Spirit finds utterance ever and again through a minority. It invites and engenders liberation from oppression and exploitation, whether of nation or economic system, of race, sex, or class. It bursts through rigid, cramping inheritance, giving rise to new language, to new forms of cooperation, to new and broader fellowship. The Church of the Spirit is a pilgrim church on adventure. There's so much to unpack in that, and that part that I shared is my favorite part. I call that church free, which responds in responsibility to the Spirit that bloweth where it listeth. And is that not a perfect quote for this environment, where we have that beautiful breeze from the ocean and we have all of these boats that are sitting out there listing and waiting? There was actually a lot of boats out yesterday as part of the flotilla. Is that what it's called? Yeah. He's saying, go with responsibility to the call of the wind that blows the song of freedom. So the next time you see a boat listing, think about how it might be responding to the call of freedom and where will it go. The tide of the Spirit finds utterance ever and again through a minority. And Unitarian Universalists are indeed a minority in this country, much as this congregation is a minority in this community. And Spirit uses us to speak a new truth, liberation from systems of oppression of which we are complicit. He claims Spirit is calling us out of that complacency and complicitness, that we burst through rigid, cramping inheritance. And holy moly, do I love that phrase. Burst through. Get free of rigidity and get free of cramping inheritance. So what we've inherited has kept us confined and cramped in our spaces. All that stuff we've inherited here, right here in this church. But we are going to burst through that with leadership. This is what you are calling your leadership here to do. Take us there. Help us get there together. Adams invites us to rise to a new language, new forms of cooperation, new and broader definitions of fellowship. How could we here define fellowship more broadly? Where is it too narrow? I don't have the answer, but I'm definitely listening and seeking. The last sentence to unpack is that the Church of the Spirit is a pilgrim church on adventure. A pilgrim church. Now, I can have some icky resonance with that word pilgrim, but I take his meaning that we are a people who journey to a sacred place for spiritual reasons and purposes. We might not know that place yet, but we are building it as we dream it. And we surely are on an adventure, and adventures are fun. Otherwise, we wouldn't do it, and there would be no books or movies. No hobbits, no Ewoks, no Alices without adventure. And adventure is also scary. Otherwise, there'd be no books or movies because there'd be no story to tell. But I take his statement real. We are pilgrims, a small group of people who believe in freedom and liberation for everyone and every being, and we are on that adventure. I'm glad to be on it with you and with the leaders who you have entrusted to guide us for a while, until it is your turn. Last snippet from James Luther. I call that church free which is not bound to the present, which cowers not before the vaunted spirit of the times. It earns and creates a tradition binding together past, present, and future in a living tether, in a continuing covenant and identity, bringing forth treasures both new and old. A free church is not bound to the present. We do not cower before the vaunted spirit of the times. We do not cower before this horrific regime. We do not cower even if we are tired or scared. This is part of the journey, but it is not the power of the journey that we have been invited to. It creates a new tradition, a new tradition. We have to build a new tradition, or we get to build a new tradition, and we do it by binding together past, present, and future of all that is built into our covenant and identity that allows us to lead ourselves and others into the future. You have invited leaders of this community to take on the role of leadership, to build that free church. And the leaders have said yes. Hallelujah. They have said yes again and again, because the work does not end, because the past, the present, and the future are all tied together with us. We are on an eternal journey for as long as the earth will have us. I hope that when the free church calls you to leadership, you have a yes in you, that it's your time, it's your privilege, it's your role to accept that invitation, the invitation to leadership, growth, laughter, fun, hilarity, mistakes, forgivings, and blessings, and to build the world we know is within our grasp. Amen and blessed be. And now, please stay seated. We're going to sing our anthem this month, which is hymn number 123, Spirit of Life.
We will sing it through once in unison, and then if you'd like to harmonize, you can find 123 in the hymnal, or you can improvise your harmonies.
Every month, we share the plate with a community organization. This month's recipient is ULACAN, which stands for Union of Latinos in Eastern North Carolina. They provide services for mental health support, education, translation, advocacy, and so much more that the Latino, Latina, Latinx communities need, especially during this new administration. Please give generously in this time when Latinx communities are facing so many challenges. Please join in blessing this offering with hymn 402, From You I Receive. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live. Please rise in body and spirit, and let us sing together hymn 346. Come, sing a song with me. Yeah.
That I
Please join me in reading our chalice extinguishing words. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And now in Español. Extinguimos esta llama para no la luz de la verdad, el calor de comunidad, o el fuego de nuestro compromiso. Estos los llevaremos en el corazón hasta que estemos juntos otra vez.
It is our tradition here to gather around the edges of the sanctuary, linking hands, linking hearts. If you'd like to stay in the middle to be surrounded by our love, please do so.
When is game night? When is game
When is game night? Come in here between now and
I
high
love
school.
This is for the plate.
Okay. Are we all linked up? We are all here together. Go with faith, dear friends. Not the kind that is called to move mountains, but the quieter sort that calls us to take that first step. Even when the whole staircase sits beyond our view. And as we move toward the unseen, may we notice that the way unfolds only as we risk traveling it. And may we remember and trust that on this journey, we are never alone. Amen.
Amen.
Blessed be. Join us for coffee and snacks in the social hall.